Welcome to World Talks. I'm Anna Kalczyńska. With increasing global instability, Europe's role in ensuring its own defense has become more urgent than ever. It's fair to say the future of European defense is at critical crossroads. Think tank forum held in Warsaw and Toruń under the motto A Better Europe focuses on discussing key challenges facing Europe, mainly international security, transatlantic relations, EU reforms, competitiveness, and development of science and technology. To discuss the top priorities of these discussions, I'm joined now by Vicente Palacio, Foreign Policy Director at Fundación Alternativas Madrid, the top progressive Spanish think tank and professor at International Relations, Complutense University of Madrid. Good evening, Professor. Thank you for joining us here on TVP World.
Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure as well. So, on the first day of Spanish presidency of 2023, I remember Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez,
yes,
who took the train to Kiev. So today we are exactly in a similar situation with four leaders in Kiev today, with the leaders of France, Germany, Poland, and Great Britain, invited by Volodymyr Zelensky. So how different is the situation today from the one 2 years ago?
Well, I think the situation is not as good as we had expected 2 or 3 years ago. We are facing the possibility that we finally have an agreement that does not favor much or that does not benefit much to Ukraine. But what is important and what has changed in the European terms is that, thanks also to the, not only, but also to the Polish presidency of the European Union this semester, you have put on the table very serious issues on defense. You have emphasized the need for Europe to empower itself and become a security provider. And this is very important because you raise the awareness for other member states that this is very important to cover the eastern flank of the European Union as well as the southern border. It is very important that we come together and we support a fair and lasting peace solution for Ukraine.
It's important now that we talk about those bit of divergences in perhaps putting the weight, right, in defense, south and north, east and west of Europe. But you talked about the unity of Europe. Don't you think it's a missed opportunity here with Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission, missing this trip to Brussels? Perhaps it should be even a stronger message if those leaders were accompanied by a High Representative of European Union.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that we miss an opportunity. But I also think that what we are witnessing these days is an articulation of the so-called coalition of the willing, which means, okay, we do have member states, the major member states of the European Union, the strongest in defense, as France, as Germany, but also as Poland as well, which, by the way, you reach 5% of GDP defense spending this year, which is very important, and we recognize the importance of this. But
what is the Spanish spending, by the way?
Well, the commitment of a Prime Minister for this year, for this summer, is 2% before the summit, NATO summit in July this year. So, but it's very important that we create some kind of awareness and critical mass together with other countries outside the European Union, like UK, which is very important. Others might follow, like Norway and Austria and others. And this is very important because that goes beyond the scope of the European Union, and it gathers other member states that belong to the European space, which don't belong to the European Union, but that they are equally very important.
Spain is one of the main and one of the greatest European Union members. And it's also a strong advocate of the EU's push towards strategic autonomy. However, with keeping the relations, transatlantic relations with the United States. So what does it mean exactly, especially in the context of growing divergency with the new Donald Trump's administration?
Well, what it means is that countries like Spain, that had a very good relationship with the past administration, with the Biden administration, and they don't have so good relations with this administration, which is quite obvious, and this is a common feature for all the member states and partners like France or Germany. These are very difficult relations with the Trump administration, because this, to be honest, to be frank, this administration does not believe in NATO, does not believe in fair and lasting peace for Ukraine. So it's very difficult to operate in this term. But anyway, I think that we have to make compatible a good relationship with the United States and the need for Europe to become a global power and a security provider. This is not an easy balance. It's clear, but we are just starting, and we'll see what the results are in the coming weeks and months.
Spain is also a leading contributor to EU common security policy missions, both civilian and military. However, the Spanish missions are deployed mainly to the Mediterranean and to Africa, right? So what do you think, what are the odds of putting in place, developing a European peacekeeping force to Ukraine in an event, of course, of a durable ceasefire?
Well, I think that is a good idea, but has to be implemented according to very concrete conditions. So under certain conditions, I think that for the Spanish government and for the other governments which have not support explicitly this idea so far, as Spain, because as we know, France and the UK are leading this idea. This idea. The Chancellor Merz is unclear if he finally support or would join this peacekeeping force for Ukraine in the post-war period. But I think that under certain conditions, provided that there is a security for those troops, and provided that Europe is able to negotiate or sit at the same table with the Russians and the Americans, because it has to be at three, a deal at three, provided that we have those security guarantees. I don't see any problem to deploy those peacekeeping troops in the near future. I think that Spain will finally join.
Well, we heard one of the experts today saying that the coalition of the willing should transform itself into a coalition of the killing. That is a big move, and it requires a change of perspective, change of understanding also among the member states willing to participate.
Absolutely. It's not a coalition of the killing, it's a coalition for defending democracy and freedom in the eastern part of Eastern Europe. And this is absolutely crucial that we have that very clear idea in mind of what it means today to defend and put our resources and our people there. Yes.
So let's move to the think tank forum, the meeting that is taking place in two beautiful cities in Poland, Toruń and Warsaw. The event has been organized under the motto "A Better Europe," and it focuses on key challenges, but not only on security, but also about transatlantic relations, EU reforms. So how do you assess the Polish presidency in this context?
I think that it's been very important. You still have 1 month and a half ahead still to implement the new dossiers, the new ideas. But many ideas have been put forward, and you have, as a Polish presidency, I think that for all the member states, it's widely recognized that this been excellent presidency in terms of managing the dossiers. You put forward ideas on energy, on competitiveness, which is very important, also for for your economy right now. on the domain of defense, of how to build common capacities and a common army in the future, and how to make NATO and EU defense compatible, and many other things. Things like, for instance, misinformation, which is something that you suffer daily in this country, and we also do. So this is very important issues. I think that the balance is very positive so far. Yes.
And how about those transatlantic relations, which could absolutely pose a big challenge to many member states, not only to the main leading, like Poland, right, who currently is leading the presidency of the Council of the European Union, but many member states have different issues with the United States, with this new administration. Mm-hmm. So there's a need for a new energy, for a new impulse in those relations. Do you see any potential contenders or actors who might take a lead in this respect, and what the new pillars could be for a potential cooperation with the United States?
When it comes to Europe, I guess that you mean among the European member states, EU member states, well, it's clear that France and Germany, or Franco-German relation is very important. We recently had a new Chancellor, Merz in Germany. He's taking steps forward. He is very courageous, I think, and he's trying, in my opinion, to make a good relations with the United States, which is essential. Mm-hmm. We should never forget that the United States is and should continue to be a pillar of our security and the stability for Europe. No matter if we don't have very good relations with this concrete administration, we'll see in 2-3 years' time that might change. And I think this is very important, the role of Germany, Macron in France. He signed yesterday an agreement in Nancy with Prime Minister Donald Tusk. It's very important as well that Poland incorporates to this triad of big powers on defense. And again, others may follow. We're thinking of Italy, thinking of Spain, Belgium, and others. Mm-hmm.
Professor, thank you so much for being with us here on World Talks, TVP World. Thank you for coming. Yeah. And we wish you all the best in the continued discussions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And that concludes this edition of World Talks. Thank you for being with us here. But please stay tuned to TVP World for more features and commentaries.